Hey, hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid, roles can be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play out as karmic themes to help you understand why your person's doing what they're doing, why you're attracting this person into your life. What is the whole spiritual significance and how you can shape shift the energy? Because there's many different realities that play out at one time. So again, this is a healing style channel. Do tell you what this person's intention is, but remember, you're the person that gets to determine what your future looks like. It's all about being aware, however. A lot of times we're not aware. A lot of times the situations are karmic, meaning we are looking at the person through a perception that is not even there. Like we are looking at the person as if they're healed. We're looking at them through a perception that if we were them, what we would do. We see their potential, but most of the time they're not in their potential. What that karmic is doing is triggering. So when we can diffuse that trigger, well, then we're able to actually look at the situation from a different perception. And then we can incorporate a new habit, a new behaviorism, which allows you to shape shift the entire situation. The dynamic of the connection has to shift because you are contributing to whatever is happening. All right. And that's important because a lot of times when you're dealing with karmics, you feel like you don't have control. That's what they want you to feel, but you always have control. It depends on what you do. The irony is that emotionally we get caught up and then we think that we don't have any control, but we do. All right, so let's see. If you want to enter into any free reading with me, you got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is always on the first card that I pull out is the underlining energy that tells us why everyone's doing what they're doing. Very important when you're dealing with people that wear masks, create facades. I've been pulling from a few decks to get the word of the video. However, like you don't have to write. Like if I decide to pull from two decks to get the underlining energy, and that's because I do readings every day. So sometimes the energy is too much the same, I feel like. And or I'll pull the same card. So it gives us a different perception due to that second card. People don't change that quickly. You may think that every time you tap into log in to listen to a reader, you think that, it's all the time your messages. Most of the time it's not. But what you'll see is a lot of times that the situation plays out in many different perceptions depending on what day you check in. One day the person wants to get back together. The next day the person doesn't want to get back together. The next day there's a third party. The next day. So you see different elements of that connection. If it's a really toxic connection and spirit says, I know that you're really stuck. Remember, the universe always brings you what you need. That includes like a reading, like a message. So it wouldn't be uncommon, is what I'm saying. Okay, so let's see what the word of the video is. The word of the video is unstructured. We have a few things for that. But we're gonna pull from a second deck just to get a little bit of a different perception, and that's hopelessness. Well, that's the whole point. It's again, I feel like you're in connection with someone that doesn't know how to approach you anymore because you're a completely different person. I feel like they push something to the limit. I feel like this person doesn't have enough to give you. They feel like they don't have enough to give you, and they really betrayed the connection. So you're in separation right now. I also feel as if you're somebody that they've never dealt with a person like you before. You're very intuitive, you're very sensitive, you're very spiritual. I feel like you may not have all the bells and whistles of being flashy, but you're more of a true person. You're a real person. I feel like whenever you talk to this person, you always have the best intention and you really talk to them about life, opposed to most of their connections, which were BS, like sending pictures back and forth and, you know, telling each other lies, right? Because all based on pure passion. This connection is not based on that at all. It's again, it's unstructured because it's a soulmate connection. It's again, you truly had a connection to this person. I also feel like you're someone that is unstructured, and that tells me again, you live more from your bliss. You're in more, you listen to the higher self. You're intuitive. So this person actually, now that they've been observing you, actually feel like they could be in a relationship with you. Where before when they first met you, I feel like relationships just don't work. They have commitment issues. But again, this unstructured way of living, and that be again that you could be an artist, you could be a singer, you could be any type of entertainer or someone that's an influencer, someone that is out in the public, someone that wouldn't do a whole 9 to 5 and then you'd have to come home, and where it seems to be every day is the same day. Every day is Groundhog's Day. This person gets bored very easily, and what they see is they have a strong connection because I believe that they've been watching you for a long time. So this is the underlining energy. So it's almost as if the person's like feeling is like obsessive, where they can't stop thinking about what they did and about maybe a missed opportunity now because of how they act. So that, again, I do feel like they're in a place of regret because they acted a bit like a narcissist. And now what they see is that you're like in the wonder of you right now, that you're enjoying your life, that, you know, you're not sitting there crying over this person anymore. Now it's crazy, but it's almost like this person would feel more comfortable if you were crying over them. But I feel like they procrastinated too long. I feel like they took too long to like figure things out because you're not the same person who you are anymore. So this person doesn't even know how to approach you, is why they're like, again, in regret. Like you were right there. They don't, you know, like I said, they know how they treated you, but they withdrew from you, which meant like they never shared their emotions. They weren't willing to go transparent. You felt like they held a lot of secrets. Um, you just felt like they were a lost soul, like they didn't really have a purpose, that their purpose was just to, there was no purpose to the connection. That's number one. But this person is somebody that may live very rigid on their own, but they don't want to live by anyone else's rules. And so there's someone that I feel like doesn't sway from what they feel comfortable in. And that's the everyday, their everyday life of everyday living. And so I feel like they don't let people in. They don't emotionally let people in. And they felt like you were like kind of like overstating the situation, like to like too, like this person wanted you, wanted actually they wanted you to be excessive, but you were excessive, like excessively complaining about how they were. I feel like again the withdrawal of their emotions, not being transparent, really bothers you because you're more of, again, a spiritual person. So you need that emotional connection. And this person, again, just kept doing it, just kept like, it was like you'd have the conversation, you felt like they weren't listening. In so many words or less. And you just feel like they had a hard time of letting go of the past. And so they're so what happens is it manifests within their relationships. I also feel like you, again, attracted this person because you have had problems in your relationships, and it's not, wouldn't be uncommon that you say, well, of course, this person's coming into my life to create chaos. because they're not balanced. And you may say, I always wind up with people like that, and that's because you haven't healed. This person hasn't healed. So as long as they stay in a place where, they don't look at their shadows and they don't, change, well, it will continue to play out. I feel like this person is actually thinking about, again, why they're in this position with you now. And they're seeing that pattern. They're also seeing that they're toxic, that they're the toxic one. You just feel like I attract people that are broken all the time into my life. And that's the chaos. And there's a sense of, because you've gone through that before, you were a little reserved. You didn't just rush into this connection. Otherwise, well, this narcissist would have really gotten to you, but instead, like they felt again that you were excessively like complaining about it, almost like you were not putting up with whatever they were trying to give you. It's again that you felt like you had enough of the trauma, you know what the trauma looked like. And what you saw is that this person has a lot of unresolved trauma and they took it out on you. And so, but we see a lot of mirroring energy. And how did they do it? They were dishonest. And again, almost as if this person assumed that you were going to be a certain way. Like they just assumed that you were going to come in and, tolerate it. And also, I feel like this person assumed a lot about you instead of taking the time to actually get to know you. What was okay, what wasn't. They didn't. They didn't take the time. And so when you didn't act the way that they thought that you should act, you felt attacked by the constant need for them to assume what you were saying and what you were doing. Like, again, putting words in your mouth, gaslighting because of their insecurity. This person has insecurity right from the get-go because they don't like commitment type relationships. This person was not nice to you, not because there wasn't a connection. It's because they have past trauma. So their habits and the behaviorisms that they form from previous relationships continue to play out. So you always feel like that you've already lived through like the experience before. Like you keep having to tell this person, you know, you don't really feel like you're in a relationship with them because again, they're not honest. They withdraw from the connection. They act narcissistic. They assume that you're going to act a certain way where really all that you feel is that you feel kept out. And they do this by emotionally manipulating you, by stonewalling you, deliberately trying to forget about you. And then they want you to get so irritated because they're not being transparent that they're not going to actually let you in. So you get very angry. They want you to get angry and irritated. So you start an argument just so that they'll get like soothe you. This is what they want because it makes them feel powerful and would make you feel powerless. Where what you see is their trauma because they haven't healed it is always displaced. It's always put like back onto you. And that's really what it is. So it's like this person continues to withdraw. And then when you call them out on it, they lie. And they only know how to be in toxic relationships. So you got tired of feeling like your life was upside down. Like and upside down because this person is coming in, they're coming out, they're they don't like commitment, but they have feelings for you. I feel like now that this situation that you've been in separation from them for a long time, they're watching you and they've watched you from afar. And possibly it was just because in the beginning you didn't chase after them and they really expected you to. So once you didn't, they were curious. And what they saw is that they were watching you on the internet. They were finding out about you. I feel like even going on the internet, like just looking to see if they could find anything at all that was negative, anything at all that, would give them any type of clue into your life, and they really couldn't find anything. And so it's like this person has put a lot of energy into you while in separation to the point that now they've convinced themselves that they actually have feelings. And this is why they feel hopeless, because they see like they created a lot of bullshit, like a lot of bullshit for no reason. They went into the relationship scared. They went into the connection assuming that you were going to act a certain way. Because again, this is how everyone acts, but you're not everybody. And that's the thing. So they handled you the way that they handled their relationships, but their relationships have brought them nothing but trauma, and they haven't healed that trauma. So it's again, we have a case of I want to be in the connection, but I don't want to like really be accountable in the connection, and you aren't having it. Again, you aren't going to put yourself in a place of disempowerment. This person feels disempowered because they feel the need to control you. Again, they would want to control you because they don't have enough of like who they are, identity. This person like just created too many trust issues with you, just too many trust issues. And then on top of it, they're the ones that want to be the authority. So it's like that person, it's like the person that's the most wounded, that doesn't feel confident in relationships, that doesn't want a commitment, wants to be the one that's in charge of you. Again, that would be putting you definitely in a place of disempowerment. And that's because they feel disempowered. So again, we don't get our empowerment really from taking someone else's energy. This person would be like draining, just they're an empty well. You would, no matter how much you gave them, it would never be enough, is what because it's all about this person's self-image, and their self-image will never change as long as they stay in their old habits. They take too many risks. They like to make people jealous instead of creating that true, intimate connection, that bond, being transparent. We don't see that this person ran around and cheated or anything like that. We don't see that at all. What I see is a lot of I want to be in this connection. Yes, I'm focused very much on your body. And again, the sex, it's not like this person isn't. They wouldn't stick around. Understand that. They wouldn't have any relationship at all. They're imbalanced. So when they look at a connection, they have to be sexually attracted. They have to. The issue is there's a lack of trust. And there's a lack of trust because there's a lack of intimacy. Every time this person goes through something, they withdraw. It's because of the trauma that they went through, actually in childhood, where there was no support in childhood and they had to heal all the time in isolation, all the time. So it's again, this person is actually like a little bit afraid of rejection, and they wanted you to conform, because they've been victimized before. They've inherited those family patterns. So, like I said, I just feel like this person, because they let their trauma dictate their life and they don't realize that that's what they're doing, they're very impulsive. So they may get triggered emotionally and then want to withdraw from you, and that's again, they the intimacy scares them. They'd rather live in the illusions, create the illusions, have people perceive that they're someone that they're actually not. And that's why they do it. And they're not used to regular relationships. They only make karmic contracts, and these karmic contracts are ones that are built on lust. So again, what we see is that the person like has a lot of passion, but almost like a passion that's obsessive where they want to dominate you. So that's the problem. And the problem is is that they're not coming from a realistic, even standpoint. Like they weren't nice to you and they didn't give you what they wanted. They've been in separation from you, stalking you on social media, looking for things, investing a lot more time into you than they ever gave you when you were in their life. So now they've convinced themselves, but that's someone that has major intimacy issues. That's someone that can fall in love with a person that doesn't give them anything, but once they're actually in the everyday relationship, where it's every day, that, you know, should make you feel comforted, where you're watering this person, they're watering you, where it's again, that's real intimacy. This person gets bored, they get freaked out, and that's the family patterns that they grew up in. They inherited this trauma from childhood. And so that trauma has continued to play out in all their connections as chaos in their relationships. But it's because they, again, have major intimacy issues. And so when they get too close, they have a lot of self-sabotaging behaviorisms, like where they'll take a lot of risks. And a risk isn't that they're going to go out and date 1,000 people, but maybe they'll have a long night at the bar and not call you, or they just disappear for a few days and you don't really know where they went. Again, where they'll just disconnect, where they're like, you're like feeling comfortable in the relationship and they just disconnect. And that's because, again, when they were growing up, the trauma was so bad that they lived detached. Detachment and then disassociated. So this person doesn't have a problem being in a connection with you and then all of a sudden detaching and disappearing, and then you don't feel connected. You feel abandoned. It triggers your abandonment because you're not then feeling as connected, but that's because they have fragmented parts of themselves that they need to heal. So you did confront this person, and this person felt like you had expectations. Obviously, you did, that they were not going to do that. But they also had expectations that you were going to put up with it. And you were like, I'm not being consumed in it. You want me to be consumed in you. Because again, the lack of intimacy is like, of course, you're going to be more consumed in them. If they can detach like that, of course you will be. But they like that because then they feel like your energy is on them all the time. Then you're going to chase them. And then when you called them out on it, it's again, they became self-righteous, like almost like not really wanting to hear it. Again, almost like, well, like, what were you going to do? And you got tired of saying, like, well, I'm tired of being in a relationship with you. And when you're actually here with me, you're distracted. Again, detachment, disassociated. The every day is boring. But now that we in separation, well, now all of a sudden you want to be with me. It's again because in your mind you perceive that I'm this person, but that's not who I am. This is who you are. And understand, you're like, and you don't want to look at the fact that because you're never transparent and you continuously withdraw and stonewall and don't let me in and keep me out of your life, that it, you think that I forgot that all you do is deceive. It's like I just forgot that you tried to make me the victim. It's like I'm not going to be the victim because all you really want is sex and a contract because the relationship is fragmented because again of your family patterns. I'm not going to be placed in a place of victimization because you want me to conform because you're afraid of rejection. So what you do is you form a very strong connection to the physical body by creating a lot of illusions. And then again, trying to make me jealous. And jealous is just disappearing. But if you're disappearing, where are you going? If you're not emotionally giving me, you don't even really need to flirt with anyone else because you're starving the person out. You just got tired of it. You're like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that emotionally doesn't give me anything, that doesn't show up. But now that I haven't been, now all of a sudden you have strong feelings. But who did you fall in love with? Your imagination? Because again, you don't know me at all. You're in love with a figment of your imagination. Again, like, and this person feels more comfortable with that. It's again this intimacy. This is a person that probably watches a lot of porn, like a lot of like has that type of thing where they feel more comfortable in that. And that happens from betrayal at such a young age that a mommy or a daddy betrayed that child at such a young age that they grew up and they have hard time connecting, and they have a hard time connecting because they have anxious avoidance style. So every time you get close, they bolt. Every time there's a problem, they'll stick their head in the sand. Every time they don't get their way, they're going to stonewall. They're going to manipulate. They're not going to be transparent. You got tired of it. We don't see them running around with people. We just see them continuously, taking their energy away. And that's again where when they're with you, again, who wants to be in a connection with someone that's there, but you feel emotionally isn't there? Come on. It's like where you're like, what do you always like? I feel like you always have an exit plan because again, they can detach that fast and disassociate. And that happens again from severe trauma. But you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. So you need to ask yourself, why did you attract this person into your life? Well, obviously, you might have been betrayed just that way by a parent. Such close, that close relationship. And that close relationship, sorry, that close relationship happens when that close relationship happens like when we're at like child and mom. Mommy or daddy, those first connections. And when a parent betrays, it could be, well, that person grew up in an alcoholic family. That person, like, the parent was an adulteress, or adulterer, like they checked out, they abandoned. It didn't doesn't necessarily mean that they were beaten, abused, or raped. It could be though. They could be molested. Again, because that's the trauma is actually the same. You're going to get the same behaviorisms from somebody that was violated at a young age and betrayed that way as you would like an alcoholic, someone that doesn't show up at all, someone that you can't trust. Betrayal is betrayal. There's only two energies, love and fear. So that trauma makes it so difficult to form the intimate connection because trust. And it's because they never healed that first trauma that it continually plays out within their relationship, just as chaotic relationships that they don't really understand why they create. So, of course, you're like, I'm not going to get myself into this karmic contract. I'm over it. You just showed me everything that I needed to see. Again, so we look at your inner child wounds, and the first card out is loner. Second card out is unworthy. Third card out is belittled. Oh, these are not nice cards, obviously. Like, I mean, if you felt the need to be a loner, it's because you were like bullied. Again, made to feel unworthy, made to feel not good enough. That's what this person was trying to do. Again, like they're checked out emotionally, they can't give to you. Even though they have feelings and they feel bad about that now and they feel hopeless and they don't really know how to fix it, it's because they see what they did. It's again, look at this. Look at this. This says it all. This says it all. Didn't get the emotional. Did not get the emotion. What do we associate physical touch with? Comfort, nurturing, emotion, emotion. This person starved you of emotion, and they made you feel unworthy. And then when you had a problem, they belittled you. You felt like a bully. But you know what? That trauma in childhood made you very close to source. You have impeccable intuition. Impeccable intuition. So that's why you saw what this person was doing. You detached. This person didn't see that because they thought, well, I'm going to starve you out. Emotionally, you're going to break and come back. No, they didn't realize that already know how to be a loner, honey. It's like you may not want to be a loner, but you definitely know how to be one. Like, you know, instead of staying in a place of frustration, being made to feel like you're not good enough, not worthy. That's why this person broke the connection. They made you feel unworthy. They made you feel not good enough. Now, of course, they want to come back, but it doesn't matter. It's like because you still didn't build a connection. You didn't take the time. So you fell in love with somebody that you created in your imagination. And when I don't live up to that person, that perceived persona that you created of me, well, then your narcissistic traits are going to come back out again because you didn't build an emotional connection. You have no problem to detach and disassociate. And I've gone through this before. I lived half a life without getting the emotional connection. That's you, Scorpio. And you're like, and I'm not going to live that way now. Bye. You won't be making me feel unworthy. You won't be making me feel not good enough. You won't be making me feel that way. This person sees. They didn't know how strong you were. They didn't see, honey, I already learned that lesson. That's you. I already learned that lesson. Nobody's worth my happiness. No one's going to take my happiness. I love myself. Again, then that's how you reparented yourself. I am worthy. I am good enough. I listened to source. I listened to the higher self, and the higher self said, you ain't giving me anything, and I'm not going to give you anything because I know my worth. The relationship, I'm always frustrated because I don't get enough. What the fuck is that? It's like that you're going to make me feel like I'm not worthy. You're going to what, bully me? Like I'm a loner anyway. What the fuck do I need you hanging off my energy? That's what you did to this person. That's why they're like hopeless because it's like they knew what they did. They know what they did. And they see that you know what they did. And so that's where they're at. The spirit says, don't worry because it's a lot's going on beyond the illusion. You saw right through their illusion. They see, oh, you have good discernment. And that's because you have a good connection to source. You're divinely protected. So again, you discern the truth and you pulled back the curtain. And that's what it was about for them. And now it was about, again, listening to yourself. And so you said, you don't align with my values. You don't align with my who I am today. So I cannot feed this to you. And Spirit said you needed to do that because this was a spiritual test, in order for you to evolve to the next level of consciousness, you'd have to do that. So, and there's many reasons why. Part of it was to find the harmony and heal within because it was brighter horizons. And again, also realize to like, wow, look at everything that I've gone through and look at who I am today. It's like to see actually how strong that you are. And really, Spirit says, that's what it was about. It was about pretty much you. I would say it's more than rising above, okay? Like I see seeing beyond like your immediate fears, okay? Like this person tried to like represent that. They tried to again bring back those old feelings. And Spirit says, you're a whole different person. That's what this is. Acknowledge what you have already overcome. You're not that person. You had to go through this experience to find brighter horizons, a better future for yourself, to not just connect to people emotionally that aren't going to give. This person would have bound you to that. It would have been a karmic contract where emotionally they would have never given you anything and not had a problem with it. It's like you said, nope, I learned that lesson. Spirit said, of course, because you want a brighter future. And you again did go within, and that's what you needed to do. Because when you grew up being bullied and feeling unworthy, Well, it's normal to cower. It's normal to give up your energy when you're a child. Your environment is dictating that. Your survival is based on that emotionally. So Spirit said, no, no, not anymore. We don't do that anymore. But you had to go through the spiritual lesson. This person made you feel exactly the way that you felt in childhood. Identical. And that's why the triggers were bad. That's why you were repelled by it. This person never expected that. Again, they felt that wounding. They felt that you didn't emotionally get. They felt because of how much love you gave. And it's always the wounded that give. It's always that. So they felt that. And instead of them honoring it, they shit all over it. And that's what you saw. So that's why they're in a place of hopelessness. And they're in love. But again, they have disconnection problem, disassociated. They need to heal that. Because once they would get you, well, again, people fall back into the same habits, the same way. And we see that this person likes to be that way. That's a habit of theirs. It was a survival mechanism. This situation was to bring you back to your own heart, return to the heart, to breathe the light and stick to the essentials for your own soul. The present moment, be in the present moment. Again, you have to, because this person will trigger you if you think about them, because they ruin the relationship because of their stupidity. Calm your thoughts, focus on your heart, and find space to be where the light and greatness are. Find peace and inner silence. But it was all about returning to your heart. And so, again, to drop down into heart based consciousness, which means to look at the situation through your heart and not your ego, because we can't heal an old trauma of the past that our mommy and daddy did, that by not being there, by not emotionally showing up, through being angry, through looking at it and say, how dare you? But it's to look and say, well, they're broken. This person's broken. So you again to return to the heart and to forgive yourself for again wanting everyone to change, and instead of investing the energy into yourself for a brighter future, for this brighter horizon. That's what Spirit says. You have to forgive yourself. You have to let go, and realize that that's this person's wound. And you let go by showing everyone, I am worthy. I am good enough. I am deserving, and living your best life. Because that's what's going to reparent you. Somebody else isn't going to come into your life to reparent you. Spirit says you have to do it. And again, by becoming the energy of love, by doing what you love, by again embracing the future, by rising above. Yes, rising above, because you have to, it's all about merciless forgiveness and letting go. And that's difficult because this person did so many stupid things, like that it didn't need to be. But Spirit said, I need you to go into different waters, uncharted waters, to help you see yourself differently. I need for you to do that again so that you can ascend life. Because that's, in the end, that's what it's about. It's about you evolving and getting restored to your original energy of unconditional love, that this person broke out the fragmented pieces in you. So again, that's why you had to, like, that's why they came into your life. Nothing more, to help you ascend life. I'm going to leave that there. You let me know how you resonated with this one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.